Osaka, Japan, and what an experience it is so far. We are testing out the Lumix S9. Yeah, this is finally them venturing into the full frame compact, ultra compact point and shoot. But yeah, I will have some thoughts on it. I personally think this is definitely video first and photo second. I'm really glad they've actually done this.
Great ibis.
I'm telling you.
Great ibis.
It's like, it's clutch.
A £1,500, $1,500 ultra compact 24.2 megapixel full frame camera that shoots open gate 6K video up to 30 FPS. I don't know how Lumix actually managed to do this, but yeah, they finally made one of the cameras I've been waiting for them to make and are tackling one of the major things that stops me from wanting to use a point and shoot camera, or in fact, any mirrorless hybrid camera when on the go. Seamless footage transfer to your smartphone, ready to post on social media, and this is all thanks to the new Lumix Lab application for Android and iOS. Meet the Lumix S9. There's a lot to unpack here, but before we do a quick few disclaimers, I'm calling this a first review, but this is more of a, I would say, a first impressions video experience. As of the time of this recording, I've only had and used the Lumix S9 for a solid 4 days. Now the camera and the Lumix Lab application are pre-production, so we are expecting things to improve more and iron out when it comes to things like bugs and additional feature sets, which Lumix tend to be very good at doing. If not low-key, they are the best at this. I also had the pleasure of attending a trip to Osaka, Japan with Lumix for the reveal of the S9 and 2 new lenses, which are the new f8 26mm manual focus compact prime lens and the 18 to 40mm variable aperture zoom lens, which is also compact but still in development. Of course, I will share my thoughts on all that is good, the in between, and also what I think they need to actually do now to make the S9 better, and also thinking ahead for future models. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. Let's take a look at the body and the ergonomics of the Lumix S9. My overall thoughts are this is unapologetically a point and shoot camera. Now remember, this is not a small sensor camera, it's full frame. And for that reason alone, for how compact, slim profile the S9 is, I have to say, Lumix actually did an incredible job making this camera so small, and it really does make it one of the smallest full frame cameras right now. And for me personally, the smallest full frame camera I've actually ever used. It comes in 4 colors, with the blue I have here being my favorite, but I have to say the other colors are really nice and definitely aid to the look and fun feel the camera is going for. Now the S9 also has a flip screen, which helps you for self-shooting and also framing your shots at different angles. Now consider just how physically small the S9 is. The ports arrangement is something that you have to take into consideration. For example, the full-size UHS 2 SD card slot is in the same place as the battery compartment. You do have a micro HDMI port rather than the full size, which is to be expected, a USB-C port with support for charging, and a mic port input. What is missing is an additional headphone port to monitor your audio directly on the camera, so you are out of luck here. And as someone like me that is actually very video focused, I do wish that they found a way to actually have one in here, as this is what I like to class as an ultra slim, compact full frame camera that pretty much fits in your pocket with no lens attached to it. The buttons and also the dials have been stripped back for a much more straightforward, simple ease of use and also look that is, pretty much suited for the target audience that wants a small camera while still giving you the image quality and benefits of a full frame experience. This means no extra scroll dial at the back or extra buttons for things like white balance, ISO, etc. Now also, when you look at the hot shoe, there doesn't seem to be any electronic contact points, so you won't be able to use any extra audio accessories like the XLR1 adapter. But then again, I honestly don't think the target audience will care too much about that, especially considering the price of the camera. Now, due to the shape of the camera, there isn't actually a front handle bump for absolute grip, so you do have to kind of crawl and grapple it, but Lumix did give us an L-shaped handle from SmallRig for the S9 as a good grip solution for the S9. Now, away from the new dedicated lock button, One of the things that actually helps the Lumix S9 feel so compact is the lack of an EVF. Now look, based on my shooting style, this actually makes me approach this camera more for video first and photos being second as an experience for me. Now, it might actually be the same for you or it might not, but definitely something to consider. Overall, this design and form factor is definitely a polarizing one. I personally vibe with it, and there's something just so fun and charming about a full frame camera being this small, and it almost makes it impossible and unreal.
Right, we're in here, S9, day 2 technically would be, and we've got the 28-200 on here, variable aperture. We're just pretty much testing out. We're in Kyoto at this time.
Yes.
Obviously we've got Kofi, your boy here. You know it. He's fully Japanese.
I'm okay. I speak a little bit.
He's fully turned Japanese on this trip, I'm telling you. But yeah, so far just pretty much taking it through. I said it, I still feel this S9 is way more video centric because it lacks an EVF. So my approach to it is definitely more video first than photo. Yeah, hopefully they make an EVF version, but so far this is literally what I wanted Panasonic to do, an ultra portable full frame camera. And here it is.
I said it at the start, the Lumix S9 is a £1,500, $1,500 full frame camera that can shoot open gate 6K, 3:2 aspect ratio, up to 30 FPS in 420 10-bit color. So minus things like shooting internal ProRes, all-eye codec, and recording to SSD and raw output, this is basically almost all the same recording modes as found on the S5 II, with things like C4K, 180 FPS in slow motion at 1080p, 4K 60 and 48 FPS with an additional 1.5x crop, and the excellent phase detection autofocus we saw added and updated on the S5 II. But there's now a new MP4-like recording format which now shoots 3:2 aspect ratio open gate in 4K with a 3840x2560 resolution, a 50 megabits per second data rate, while still using a 10-bit color space with 420 color sampling. Now it's limited to just 30 FPS with no 24 FPS option at this time, but I have given feedback to Lumix that there should be a 24 FPS option and potentially 60 FPS, even if it does mean an additional 1.5x crop. This mode is so important for the software side of things with the new Lumix Lab application and how well it transfers your videos straight to your smartphones, ready to post on social media. And because it's actually shooting in OpenGate 4K by default, and also using what is basically the same bit rate your modern day smartphone would use when you're actually using it for recording 4K video, it's actually not going to be taking up any more space like what your smartphone would when you're actually using it. But there are some considerations to look out for when actually recording video with the S9. Recording limits. All the 1080p recording modes have a 20-minute limit. 4K recording is limited to 15 minutes and 6K recording is limited to 10 minutes. Now look, I don't personally see this as a deal breaker thanks to the price of the camera, the size and the form factor, but I also believe Lumix have actually done their market research to know what the target audience for this camera is, that they don't care for having an EVF for photography and want high quality videos in short bursts. These are the limits in which the S9 shoots in line with the thermal design of the camera in such an ultra compact body. That being said, I am hoping Lumix will actually remove the recording limits and just communicate the restrictions for the end user to actually make the choice and decision. But you know what? At the end of the day, the type of person who's actually going to be using and buying this camera, it will not be an issue. There's several software features on the Lumix S9 that make shooting so seamless, fun, and easy that I seriously need Lumix to bring this over to the S5 II and the S5 IIX. To name a few or as many, or if not all as possible, there is now finally a digital crop mode for video and photos that allows zooming in by an additional 1.5x crop in video mode, and when shooting JPEGs only, the option for an additional 1.4x, 2x, and 3.1x crop. This finally allows flexibility of additional zooming in camera while shooting without needing to do it in post. This crop mode also enables a new feature called hybrid zoom, which is probably one of my favorite features on the Lumix S9. Now, when using a supported Lumix zoom lens, what it basically does is this: it allows seamlessly and smoothly applies the additional crop when you zoom in at the maximum end of the lens with no additional digital handover or transition. So it actually feels like a natural zoom. Let me give you an example. If you're using something like the 28-200 with an additional 1.5x crop in the video mode, this basically becomes a 28-312mm lens. With the hybrid zoom feature, it actually feels like you're using a 312mm lens. This is such a brilliant feature, Lumix. Great job here. The most important feature has got to be the introduction of the Lumix Lab application for Android and iOS. With this app, when shooting in the new MP4 Lite mode and taking pictures, Lumix is all about allowing you to shoot and share to social media in around 30 seconds. As mentioned, this app is in its current pre-production state at the moment with some bugs to iron out, but so far, it's looking promising, especially with support for fast transfer over 5 GHz Wi-Fi and also the auto transfer straight to your phone feature when taking pictures and video. This feature alone is so important and has been working so well that this tackles one of my main pain points I have with modern day mirrorless cameras when it comes to the lack of a seamless footage transfer experience to your smartphone ready to post on social media. It's been a difficult experience. Next is the improvement to the real-time LUT feature and the overall processing of LUT. You now have control over the LUT intensity from a scale of 0 to 100% in 10% increments, and also the ability to add an additional second LUT to your image, giving you a level of flexibility for making your images as custom to your own look as possible. And I'll be honest, this almost feels like a little too much power in your hands, and considering there is actually a great library of LUTs to download and import from the Lumix Lab application from different creators, this is one feature when dialed in the way you want. It just means the creative look that you're looking for straight out of camera is ready to post on social media with effortless to no editing time needed. I personally need a lot more time, just a bit more to dial it in, but I 100% appreciate it being here for sure. The last thing I want to touch on is stabilization. I'm actually not sure how Lumix have been able to pull this off, but the in-body image stabilization on the S9 is just incredible. And this is even before you start considering using the e-stabilization feature, which allows you to use it in a standard and high mode for an even more stable image at the cost of an additional crop to the field of view. It's so good that the only time I actually feel it's worth using e-stabilization is when extending the zoom on a lens as far as possible. And even before then, the normal mode is just so good and looks so natural that it really almost makes no sense to use e-stabilization. And considering how this is an ultra compact camera body, yeah, the S9 is incredible when it comes to video stabilization. This is personally the feature that's actually shocked me the most when using the S9. And at this point, it's almost beyond a flex just how good Lumix are when it comes to in-body image stabilization when using full frame cameras compared to the competition. The S9 represents a massive first step into the world of ultra compact full frame hybrid cameras for video and photo for Lumix. At £1,500, $1,500, whatever could be better almost absolutely does not matter for just how feature rich and usable this camera is. I just hope Lumix will actually build an easier version of this compact shooting experience so that the process of taking photos is way more enjoyable. But for now, this is the Lumix S9, and I personally think they've done a great job with it.